After the first cut bled beneath Sun's wicked blade, the ritual began in full. One by one, the warriors stepped forward and drove their spears into the muscled offering stretched before them. Each aimed for the thickest regions, where they believed strength lived within. The denser the muscle, the more potent the blood it gave. They pierced the rounded shoulders, massive forearms drawn overhead, rippling flanks, and heavy thighs. Even the calves, tight from suspended strain, were not spared. One warrior seized the ragged edge of Tarsan's loincloth and tore it away, exposing the sculpted glutes, before burying his spear deep. The jungle lord jerked with each impact, abs clenched into cords of steel, his arched back straining in merciless bondage, his jaw locked so tightly, it seemed stone might crack. The resin-coated blades twisted deep, carving through dense flesh. Blood poured freely, unresisting. Each involuntary spasm, every powerful flex of his magnificent muscles, only drove the buried thorns deeper, and forced the blood to surge faster. His own strength betrayed him, turned into a spellbound offering, commanded to bleed. Before long, Tarsan's stretched skin was a canvas of fresh, bleeding wounds. Yet, not a drop was wasted. The warriors dragged their spears across his frame, smearing the precious fluid over every ripple of exposed flesh. Some raised their weapons high, pressing them to the thorny vines coiled along the ritual ground, a tribute to the brave spirits. But one perfect slab of muscle, the thickest, strongest, and most exposed, remained untouched. Not a single spear dared mark it. His massive pectorals, curved and drawn tight in full stretch, glistened in the firelight. The jungle lord sensed it. The experienced warrior within him understood. They were sparing it, reserving that sacred flesh for the ritual's climax.
The deeper the suffering, the greater the release.
The words, once whispered by Zun beneath the sun-scorched sky of the drought village, clung to the edges of Tarsan's clouded mind. They echoed through the pain, through every breath he fought to hold. All he had endured was not enough. Not yet. The tribal chieftain raised his hand.
It is time.
He declared.
Time to feed all of us, the braves.
This was the moment they had awaited. The best blood, drawn from the strongest flesh, offered at the peak of suffering. A warrior stepped forward, cradling a dreadful, time-worn skull in both hands, its surface darkened by years of soot and ceremonial oil. But what made David recoil in horror lay within its hollow eye sockets. Two curved thorns rested inside, unnatural double-barbed and wickedly bent like talons. They were relics passed from one ritual to the next. Their blackened tips had pierced countless offerings, but never one like this. The ceremonial drums thundered, pounding in a primal rhythm. The chief drew out one of the wicked thorns, and dipped its tip into the bowl of thick resin, before raising it high into the firelight for all to witness. Without hesitation, he turned to the bound figure, and drove it into the dense slab of muscle, just beneath the left nipple. Its twisted and cruel shape met resistance from the sweat-slicked flesh, unyielding from strain. But with a sharp, merciless thrust, he drove it in deep. No pity. The sharp tip pierced the thick crest of muscle, and burst through the other side of the nipple. Blood spilt instantly. 2 dark streams, flowing freely from twin punctures. But the chief did not pause to admire the flow. He reached for the second thorn, and turned to the opposite side. With one swift, unforgiving motion, he drove it into the jungle lord's right chest, mirroring the pain, matching the sacrifice. The first thorn drew only a sharp intake of breath, and a shudder across Tarsan's torso. But as the second pierced his flesh, his body convulsed, arching violently against the twisted trunk. The cords of his neck bulged, his jaw clenched, then cracked open. A deep, guttural grunt ripped free, raw and primal. It was the sound of a warrior pushed past the edge, of strength finally broken, of power taken and spent. Two warriors, each carrying a half-filled clay cup with a cloudy, fermented brew, stepped in. They moved to either side of the bound hero, tilting their vessels to catch the streams of blood that flowed from the punctures. The crimson mixed into the drink, thickening the ritual blend. When the cups were ready, one was passed to the chieftain. He raised it high, then with deliberate reverence, he turned and offered it to Zun, the one who had broken the unbreakable. Zun took the cup, and drank it in one swift tilt. A triumphant laugh burst from his lips when he lowered it, echoing across the hushed gathering, like a drumbeat of conquest. The tribal chief followed, accepting the next cup and drinking deep. More cups were filled, more blood drawn. The flow had not ceased, and not a drop was wasted. The warriors revered their vessels and drank, believing each mouthful would bring them strength, victory, and protection. A cup was also offered to David and Carson, but both stood back, uneasy, mere spectators to a rite they would never understand. The jungle lord's vision blurred. Darkness crept, curling into the edges of his mind. But before it could claim him, a figure approached. One hand reached down, fingers twisting into his damp, sweat-matted hair. His head was yanked upward, with a sharp jerk.
You will not die.
The voice murmured, low and cold.
They won't let you.
Tarsan's gaze flickered, dazed, but not gone. Sun smiled, the firelight catching on the paint that masked his triumph.
There is more. Much more.
Then, the world slipped away.